trophy and celebrate with your teammates?
I'm so happy. The whole team played amazing, and it's the only reason we're here is because of every single one of them. I'm so happy.
We're going to start with the Empire, and they've got two big names. You're talking about Alex Atkins and Dan Desmarais.
Doing it all for Chicago!
MVP finalist, the runner-up to fellow Belgian superstar Tobé de Khan.
We just have to be consistent in how we play, how we train.
This team this year has not won anything. I just bring that mindset of always staying hungry.
Elevates in the end zone.
I love where we're at. I love our team this year. I loved our team last year.
Atlanta is finding its zone.
I think the DNA of any successful team is hard work.
I think there's just going to be a different kind of pressure.
This would be a miracle, and miracles can happen. Are you believing what you're seeing? The 2026 season in the Ultimate Frisbee Association got underway 1 week ago with a couple Friday night games in Houston and San Diego, respectively. Tonight, two more Friday night Frisbee games coming at you, starting here in New York City as week 2 in the UFA kicks off with the Toronto Rush and the New York Empire. Later tonight, the Oregon Steel and the Salt Lake Shred. Welcome to Friday Night Frisbee Game Day. We are down on the field. Evan Lepler along with Bryan Jones. Bryan, great to be back with you. You can feel the atmosphere. These are two teams starting their season tonight. Obviously, huge expectations for New York. Let's start with them. They didn't win a playoff game the last 2 years. That's not acceptable, according to the leaders of this team. What do you expect as they launch this new season?
I mean, this looks like a juggernaut. On paper, this team looks incredible. They look like they can do anything. They look like they can provide pressure on any type of opponent. And they have to load up because Boston's there, the reigning champions, and they have to figure out a way to not only win a playoff game, but get over Boston and try to get out of the East. And that's going to be exciting to watch to see if they can really put together this early in the season.
And Boston looked pretty good last Saturday against DC.
Yeah, they looked unstoppable. They've added their own talent to that system. Lander DeCana coming in, looking good early. Tobé de Khan looking like an MVP candidate again. He looks incredible with his stat line out there. We're just, we could be looking forward to New York-Boston, but tonight it's about New York-Toronto Rush. Because 10 years ago, the Rush ruled this rivalry. They're going to try to take it back.
We'll get New York-Boston 5 weeks from now on June 5th. The Glory hosting the Empire on Friday Night Frisbee. But you're right. This is a Toronto team. Their head coach, Jamie Millage, says, we know that there's not a lot of external expectations, but internally, they believe they can do some damage. How optimistic are you about their ability to do some damage against the Empire here tonight?
Well, they have a couple difference makers they brought in and a couple people that have been building for a couple of years. I love looking at Marty Gallant. I think in the World Games and in the World stage, he's proven he can defend against anybody. He can get open against anybody. That first step is incredible. The other thing I like about this team is the philosophy behind it, creating a D-line of players that hate to lose. Sounds like a really very big hockey mentality, which I'm excited about. We'll see if Toronto can do it tonight.
Well, one of the big pieces of news for the Toronto Rush is a line change, similar to what we saw Oakland do last week, with Evan Magsig shifting over to D and Dan Riddaller moving over to O and being the center handler. Luke Kamere, who's played almost exclusively offense for the Rush since he started with this team, he'll be playing D-line tonight. They're trying to up that D-line conversion rate. And on the flip side, the guy you think of when it comes to Toronto defense, Phil Turner, one of the league leaders in blocks over and over again, he's going to play offense. When I first heard about this, I was very surprised, but I was surprised with Magsig and Riddaller, and it worked out pretty well for the Spiders last week. They won 34-11. What do you expect with this Kamere and Turner swap?
I love the switch. I think putting Kamere on the defense, it's a different type of pressure. To be that competitor on the D-line, you have to be so intense, and you want to be zen on the O-line. So it presents an opportunity for him to burn all that energy, bring all that competition, and then on the turn, get whatever matchup he wants. He can fast break, he can use his break throws, he can run and be that general for the offense, and nobody's going to be able to key in on him. As far as Phil Turner, I got to see him at the Beach World Championships. He's been fantastic. He's a strong cutter, goes to the disc, provides that reliability that they need. Maybe against this Empire team, they might try to force him out and make him make a play, but he's capable of that as well. But he's been so reliable since moving over to O-lines for some of his teams over the last few years.
By the way, it is pretty windy down on the field right now. I think players expect it to die down, which makes all these tough throws and warm-ups super valuable because then you're playing in docile conditions. If it stays windy tonight, who in your opinion does that benefit?
I think it benefits the Empire. They have, from top to bottom, the throwing depth to handle this. And if you're Toronto to sneak the upset, you want to get out of the first quarter or the second quarter unscathed and still be tied or better. With this wind, the New York defense doesn't have to work too hard to get it back. And then on offense, those big throwers can do the job in the wind. They can throw any throw, and they have many of them to get the job done.
The New York Empire are adding a bunch of playmakers from around the league. No, they will not have Don DeMarais tonight, who helped Chicago go undefeated in the regular season last year. But they do have Alex Atkins in the lineup, Braden Eberhardt, former Salt Lake handler as well. I wanted to ask you about New York's player acquisition mentality. When you were the coach, you picked up Jack Williams and Grant Lindsley. A couple out-of-towners came in, fit pretty well. You went undefeated and win the championship. It hasn't always worked out that way, Brian. Max Shepard, one and done with New York. He's with Atlanta now. Liam Haberfield, a forgettable tenure with New York. Everett Shapiro had a bumpy debut season with the Empire. Alex Atkins is a bona fide star, but he's also a guy that can be a tricky personality to deal with. So when you think about New York bringing in these out-of-town, high-priced, big-name free agents, quote-unquote, what are the challenges in making it all fit, and where have they fallen short these last couple of years, in your opinion?
Well, I think the talent that they've imported this year is on a different level. And no offense to any of those players that came before, but we're talking about MVP-style candidates coming in. And, yeah, it's a challenge because Atkins, he can do a lot in the field for you. Same with Don DeMarais. When they come in, how are they going to gel? The advantage here is they have so much talent, they can figure it out. And in years past, things have started out. In 2019, we had to move Jack Williams around. What position is he going to play? Where is Grant going to play? How much do you use him on defense versus offense? The same question is going to be here tonight. It might be a rocky start for New York. They don't have the same level of chemistry that maybe the Toronto has with the local talent building over years. But they're going to be able to figure it out, and that's a key thing about it, is they have to do a good job of shuffling those pieces around.
There is a matter of this New York lineup is a little bit like the cast of The Departed. Like every scene, there's a new star showing up. Hey, Martin Sheen is here. DiCaprio. We could do a whole 10-minute pregame and not mention Ben Yott or Jack Williams or Marquez Brownlee. Truly world-class players, some of the best guys who have ever played in this league. But I think Atkins is the story tonight.
Atkins is a story, and at the same time, you're going to have all of these great players, all of these high-powered juggernauts. But if you follow the story of the New York Empire, it's every year. It's who is the kid coming out of upstate New York? Who is the kid coming out of Columbia that makes the team? You know, in years previous, we've seen San Jonas. He's come up and done a really good job. We've seen Matt LeBar come over from JMU. New York is not just acquiring top talent, but they do a good job of acquiring the role players and that speed on the field. And who's going to surprise us tonight outside of Alex Atkins is going to be what I'm looking for.
There are 10 games coming up this weekend in the Ultimate Frisbee Association. 2 tonight, 6 tomorrow, and 2 on Sunday. You got Montreal debuting their 2026 roster in Boston tomorrow, in D.C. on Sunday. You got Salt Lake after they play Oregon tonight, going to Oakland tomorrow to see exactly what the Shred Spiders matchup looks like this year. You also have Chicago going to Minnesota with Lucas Ambrose and Noah Kuhlman making their wind chill debuts. And Chicago seems to always have a mental edge when they go to the Twin Cities. I don't know how they do it. We'll see if they can do it tomorrow.
They did in the regular season last year, and it didn't matter when it mattered most.
Yes, it's a different Chicago team this year. Obviously, no Don DeMarais, and they're missing some other firepower as well. But the dust has just begun to come up in the air on a breezy night in New York and all around the association, and we are getting set for the opening pull here in New York between Toronto and New York Empire. That'll do it for FNF Game Day. Coming up at the top of the hour, our second Friday Night Frisbee matchup of the season, the Rush and the Empire. We'll see you soon. After 2 straight seasons without any playoff wins, the New York Empire enter 2026 with a renewed energy and an army of dynamic additions. Tonight, the Empire launched their new journey against Toronto, another team that's searching to turn back the clock and reestablish their championship identity. Week 2 in the UFA gets rolling with the Rush and the Empire on Friday Night Frisbee. Next. The standard in New York is simply different, especially in Frisbee, where the Empire set the standard. Went 57-3 from 2019 to 2023. They're just 15-11 over the past couple seasons, and today they begin their 2026 campaign with a new feeling of anticipation. It's 2 of the 3 all-time winningest franchises in the league, the Toronto Rush and the New York Empire, here on Week 2 of Friday Night Frisbee. Welcome upstairs to our broadcast booth, everybody, alongside Bryan Jones. I am Evan Lepler, and Bryan, first of all, we got a beautiful night for Frisbee. Season openers here in New York haven't always been this nice. There have been some ugly, windy, rainy messes. Little breezy tonight, not D.C., but breezy, but the conditions are fine, and we should have an interesting game. New York has something to prove.
They have something to prove because the last 2 seasons they just haven't gotten into the playoffs and gotten past that first round. It's been different from the New York Empire's experience when it was championship, and now they've added in Alex Atkins. They've reloaded with talent. Nicholas Whitlock has also joined the team, and you can go down the list. There's just a lot of players that are going to be difference makers for this Empire team. How are they going to use everybody? That's always the challenge with an all-star team like New York. They're going to try to figure it out. This is step 1 tonight.
They do not have the super talented Belgian Don Desmarais. But look, this is a fiery team that's getting more fire with Alex Atkins, and he has never been a guy to shy away from a fight. He almost got into it with New York's Ben Yot. It's going to be funny to see these 2 guys, the 2 leading triple spikers in UFA history, as teammates for the first time tonight.
Yeah, Ben Yot has no trouble lighting the fire, but now you've poured gasoline on it with Alex Atkins. And I think it's going to work out great. These are 2 competitors that know what it means to bring the emotions up for a big game. They're going to be able to do that, and they're going to be ultra confident, and they're going to talk a lot of smack on the way to maybe many Empire victories.
The career stats, assists, goals, and blocks per game. Triple spikes not per game, but 1 memorable one each. Yacht, obviously, against Salt Lake, and then Atkins is a member of the Summit, did it against the Shred as well. Meanwhile, New York still has Jack Williams, and he's 31 years old from Hickory, North Carolina. He's won 3 championships with this franchise, Bryan, as you know. You coached him in that first season, but now he begins year 7, and he also, I think, has something to prove, especially with how things ended in the playoffs last year. They fizzled out against D.C.
3 years ago, Jack Williams was on top of the mountain, winning championship after championship. He has that clutch factor, that it factor, but he is so great to play with. He can play with anybody. And it was something that maybe by the end of the year he was forced to do a little bit too much. Jack's better when he can just lie in wait like a lion on a prairie ready to strike, and wait till that end of the game when he can just be Mr. Dependable in the biggest of moments.
Now, Jack Williams has experience winning World Games gold medal down in Alabama a few years back. This is a Canadian team, or a Toronto team, that has true Canadian talent. Gagan Chaffa returns to the UFA. Last saw him 9 years ago with Vancouver, but we really last saw him in China last year, taking U.S. to the brink. Canada ultimately settled for silver. They bring back Akifumi Moraoka, who was on the Japanese World Games team. And Marty Gallant is a guy that they're going to build their offense around, one of the toughest guys to guard in the entire league.
Just absolutely incredible, this first step. And when you're first coming on the scene, you're seeing this guy, and you're like, who is this? How is he able to guard players like John Randolph in the small spaces or Jack Williams? And now he becomes the weapon, right? He had the unveiling at the World Games where it's like, this guy is legitimate. He can go up against anybody. And now he has to do the next step, find a way to lead this Toronto team to a Week 1 upset. Week 2, but their first week.
He's just 22 years old. He's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. But head coach Jamie Millage trusts that he can be one of the cornerstones of this offense. Toronto got a win over the Empire last year in Ontario. Of course, New York returned the favor a few weeks later. These two teams have consistently set the bar over the course of the past decade, but Toronto hadn't been to the playoffs this decade, and New York hasn't won a playoff game the past 2 years. So tonight, they both lift the lid on their 2026 journeys. What is in store? We are about to find out. Week 2 of Friday Night Frisbee. The Rush and the Empire opening pull is coming up next. The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at VKTRY.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at DrinkDelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebration. Find yours at TwoTownCiderHouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at DiscItGame.com. Still a windy evening here in Mount Vernon, New York. It's the stadium at Memorial Field, and we are about ready for Frisbee. The keys to the game are brought to you by Victory. Bryan Jones, what's most important for tonight, starting with the Rush?
Well, they have to just survive the punch the Empire is inevitably going to throw. They have to make it through the first and second quarter tied or better, and that's going to be super important. Can they withstand the superstar power of the New York Empire?
Empire will begin the game on offense. Let's meet New York's starting 7.
Alex Atkins, University of Colorado Boulder.
Matt LeBar, James Madison University.
Ben Yacht, Minnesota.
Atkins, LeBar, and Yacht will be joined by Solomon Rushmeyer-Bailey, Jack Williams, Oliver Chartok, and Jacob Cowan. And for the visitors from Toronto, not a lot of household names, I think it's fair to say. Certainly for the UFA, there are a half dozen some odd Rush guys making their UFA debuts here tonight. But they are very optimistic. Alex Atkins had a smile on his face ever since he arrived at the stadium today. And now it's time to put his money where his mouth is. And I joked with him before the game, you knew you were coming to New York around mid-season last year? And he said, yeah, just about. So this has been a long time in the making. Doesn't have Don Desmarais as his running mate this week, but he'll receive the bull and toss it to Solomon Rushmeyer-Bailey, who connects with Matt LeBar coming underneath. We are off and running on Friday Night Frisbee to start week 2 here in the Ultimate Frisbee Association. First touch for Ben Yacht, second all-time in goals. One of the great players in the history of the league. And here's Oliver Chartok swinging it back for Cowan, who really came on strong late last year. Matt LeBar, another guy who got an opportunity on offense and really ran with it, the product of James Madison. Crossfield Scuba looking for Chartok, and LeBar's vision sets up the opening score of the night. What a find.
Well, LeBar is not known for his throwing prowess. He's usually there to get open at the high stall counts. but great defense in the end zone by Toronto. Takes away a couple of looks. Jack Williams not open for the reset. Got to find the Scoober. And there it is. Oliver Chartok does a great job of bringing it down.
If you're the defensive coordinator for Toronto, you're very okay with LeBar taking this shot, right?
This is the game plan. You're going to force Matt LeBar to be a thrower. You're going to find a way to generate pressure. And he's trying to find the outlet, and he decides, I got to just send it. And the one-handed grab in front of a defender coming in to his face. That's a great catch by Chartok to get New York on the board.
It was Eric Zwang who had poached off into the four-side lane and then could not catch up. So here's Toronto's offense. Arav Segal catches the pull, centers to Gagan Chatha. And here's Marty Gallant, and he rips it deep immediately. Spencer Dillon chased from behind by New York's Drew Schnaudagel, who blocks it out of bounds for the New York D.
They set up in a split stack. Chatha to get the disc and send it to Gallant. And not what we expect. You don't want to give New York the opportunity early to take this lead. You might want to be more conservative, but nonetheless, here we are. Marquez Brownlee commanding the offense.
World Games gold medalist for Team USA last summer in China. And here's Antoine Davis. First break chance for the Empire. Schnaudagel tosses it back to Nick Whitlock. And he's a guy who could really have a huge year. UFA rookie from New Zealand. He's going deep now. Antoine does not let it rip. He bluffed the forehand. Schnaudagel coming under. Huge bid, but unsuccessful. Spencer Dillon comes up empty, but pops right back up immediately. Up the line, Brownlee hauls in the floater. 11 yards from the end zone. And it's deflected by Phil Turner as Brownlee saw Antoine Davis near the front pylon. Phil Turner now on O-line, Brian, but still getting blocks.
That's right. It was a questionable move in some ways. You might think to put Phil Turner on offense to lose that defensive power, but here we go, going deep for Gallant.
Chatha's shot, and it never gave Marty a chance. So the 14 guys on the field, first point of their season, feeling the wind a little bit, and I'm not talking about the breeze. Running back and forth the full 80 yards of the field. Now this is Whitlock. Heard a lot about this guy's big throws. He was a member of that Tokai super team that at the London Invite beat the U.S. World Games team.
He's been an incredible defender so far, and he still has a lot of room to grow. It's been fun to watch him play. Plays with the power and explosiveness.
Randolph shoots it for Whitlock. Kelsey Maloney giving chase from behind, but Whitlock's too big. Coming all the way from New Zealand. Whitlock sets up Davis near the end zone, and he'll dish it for the Sam Jonas goal. 2-0 New York.
Not the way you want to start if you're the Rush, and exactly the type of defensive performance you want to see out of the New York Empire, generating 2 turnovers. This is tough early on. You don't want to let the game get out of hand. You want to come out, grind out a few points, put the pressure back on that New York Empire O-line, who hasn't played much together, but neither has the Toronto Rush. And look at Whitlock, a brick house. He doesn't take the best path, but it doesn't matter. And Davis has to survey the field for a little bit, but eventually he finds Jonas at the corner. Empire up 2-0.
I know we spent a lot of time talking about Alex Atkins and Ben Yott and Jack Williams. I think Nick Whitlock is the guy that I was most excited to watch tonight. I've never seen him play in person. He's 26 years old, been playing Frisbee since 2013, 6'5", and a potential to be a Rookie of the Year type addition. Nearly another turnover right near their own goal line.
A little bit of dominator look here from the Rush, trying to march up the field with their handlers. A collision.
And our first call. And it appears that it's going against New York.
I saw a pick. But
no, the disc is going to go back, and they're going to call it against Toronto, so they're going to lose 10 yards.
Usually, you're running the dominator so that way you can isolate your players.
But we have a foul. It looked like it was maybe a clean block, but no real argument.
Axel Agami Contreras on the mark. Disc in the hands of Noah Nishizaki, making his UFA debut here tonight. Another huck. Luke Comire launches a dime short of the end zone. Rowan Jamison dishes left. Nathan Shea into the end zone. And it's Jamison getting Toronto on the board almost 5 minutes in.
That's such an important hold. Your O-line is faltered. You put out a new line, go out there, run a little bit of a dominator. It's not clean, but it gets the job done. And that's so important for the rush to just weather the storm that's inevitably coming. You've got to find a way to get out of these first 2 quarters close, and that's how they did it.
Are the rush a little huck happy in these opening 5 minutes? It clearly seems like it's the game plan.
Well, I think they're just facing so much pressure that they're not used to, and when they see that, they're going to go ahead and be a little bit sped up in their decision making, and so we'll see if they're able to hang on to it. It's tough to continue to huck against this athletic of a team.
Pull to the very back of the end zone. It almost hit the foot of Braden Eberhard. Would have been an inauspicious start if, standing out of bounds, the pull hit his foot on the fly and it was a drop pull. That would be a tough stat to track. Alas, it landed cleanly just about 6 inches past the back line. Rushmeyer Bailey initiates to Jack Williams. Here's Ben Yacht coming underneath. Yacht had Atkins going deep. Instead chooses the swing. Eberhard, kind of an anchor handler. He played for Boston. He played for Salt Lake. And we get a pick downfield against the Empire. So the disc will go back to Rushmeyer Bailey. A floater from Rushmeyer Bailey deflected. And we got pass interference. It'll be Jack Williams' disc. Yeah, the foul within 10 yards of the end zone, I think. So he's going to take it. No, he's not. It was just outside of that 20-yard mark. So it will be Williams' disc a few yards shy of the goal line as he gets his pivot foot set in the right spot. And Jack to Yacht to make it 3-1 New York.
Atkins looked like he lined up a little bit like a decoy there after the foul call, just standing in the front of the end zone, and then some cuts from the back, loosen up the space. So far with this New York Empire star power, you're curious, how are they going to deploy everybody? How are they going to feed all the mouths, all the hungry mouths? A lot of superstars. Yacht's used to feeding. Atkins, Jack Williams. And you've seen them start Atkins in a variety of places. He started the first possession in the backfield, quickly going downfield, and then the second one, he's downfield pair cutting with Yacht. That seems really hard to deal with for any defense.
When you were a coach, did you think about making sure top players got the same number of chances to eat on offense?
You have to, because on an all-star team like this, you have an ego. You have that thing that you do really well, and it fulfills in that hunger and that energy for them. So it's important that you find ways to get everybody involved early in a game so that way they don't go 5, 6, 10 points without touching the disc or being a part of a play. Easier to do so in offense than it is in defense.
Another downwind pull that sailed out the back. So Toronto begins 20 yards outside of the front of the end zone. Ryan Polaws, veteran handler, gets it back from Dillon. Middle of the field for Chotha.
Just slowing the game down a little bit. That shot, he might take it later on in the season with a little bit more chemistry.
Talked about it in the pregame. Phil Turner, after years playing D-line, has shifted on to O, switching with Luke Comire. And Phil Turner looks like he's home. Turner to Chotha. And the rush have certainly stabilized after a sloppy start.
That was a great possession there, and Chotha just brings this air of reliability and calm. He finds the spaces. He starts in the backfield. He's commanding the offense, and then he leaks out, and John Randolph lets him go. Phil Turner Not the type of player that would normally take this shot earlier in his career, and he's gotten so much offensive experience. You can see the confidence he's going to make that throw with. No hesitation, puts it in the back corner, gets him on the board.
Well, look, the scouting report probably didn't have Phil Turner as an assist thrower. In 12 games last year, he threw 2 assists. He had 17 blocks and 10 goals, playing mostly defense. Turner already with 1 block and 1 assist. He's had at least 1 block in 41 of his last 44 UFA games, including tonight. Got it out of the way early.
A little bit of a dominator look starting out here. Atkins, and then they include another player coming into the set.
Braden Eberhard, excuse me, Brian.
Yeah, Eberhard just jumping in. This is really flexible offense right now. The versatility. You have Eberhard starting downfield, and he's been a handler for a lot of his career. Chartok in different positions so far. You can't key in on anybody here on the Empire early on.
Cowan chased by Evan Benvenista. Shooting it. Alex Atkins uses his body to block out his defender. No chance for the Japanese star Akifumi Muraoka. And Atkins has his first goal in New York.
And that was the easiest possession so far. Another new look for the Empire. And Atkins is just having a good blast. Sometimes he's starting in the backfield. He's free to leak in the same way Chotha did the last point. And Cowan was a cutter, was a revelation, I think, at the end of the season last year for the Empire.
No doubt.
Known as really an athletic cutter, and this is an impressive throw. A leading throw to space. Great matchup. Atkins is going to come down with that 99 out of 100 times.
Listen to Atkins on the New York Empire podcast. Of course, he's a podcast star himself with his Pod Practice Pod. Quinn Finer and Mikey Lund, now his former Colorado mates. Wonder if the smile will stay on Atkins' face when adversity hits, which it will at some point. Maybe not tonight, but certainly sometime soon. Another Toronto Huck into double coverage. Everett Shapiro there defensively, and it's blocked by the secondary defender, Ben Simmons. I believe Toronto 1 for 4 on their early Hucks here, Brian.
It's not working out for them so far. That was a shot that if you can put it out all the way to the end zone, it's going to work, but it requires a high degree of difficulty.
Into the teeth of the wind. Here's Whitlock coming under, and a whistle and a New York timeout. With about 3 1/4 minutes to play in the opening quarter. First time out of the half for Matt Stevens and Anthony Nunez, who are coaching side by side yet again. Stevens, one of the all-time goal scorers in the league, and Nunez beginning his 6th season on the New York sidelines. He's 55-14 since he took over the squad alongside his buddy Charlie Hoppus, now working with Matt Stevens, who you coached back in 2019.
And Matt Stevens had an incredible motor. That's how he scored so many goals. I don't think he ever stopped running. And Nunez, a defensive mind, bringing a lot of experience to this Empire staff. And a lot of recruitment potential. Kind of a godfather of New Jersey Ultimate.
Toronto so far has been ambitious with his shots, and credit to New York defense, but none of these when they were taken did I think, oh, that's definitely going to work.
These are shots that you might be able to throw up against a lot of other teams, but there's a size mismatch, there's an athleticism mismatch. It's what New York wants to force. You're giving them the keys to this game.
Big gainer from Rushmeyer Bailey up the sideline to Atkins. Now they'll swing it around for LeBar. Another break chance here for the Empire. Eberhard floats it for Yacht. Eberhard was never the guy. Oh, my. That was a dangerous bid from Toronto's Nathan Shea. Good to see Atkins pop right back up. I'm surprised that's not 20.
I can't believe it's not 20.
Atkins okay. Hits Eberhard, who I was saying wasn't the focal point of Salt Lake's offensive unit. That was a guy named Jorgensen or Will Selfridge or Jordan Kerr. But you talk to folks in Salt Lake, and they are already missing Eberhard, his tactical mind and his steadiness as an anchor in the backfield. Atkins throws the assist, slicing it right into the teeth of the Toronto defense as Matt LeBar grabs his first goal of the night.
It's just so difficult. You got to figure out who you're going to guard at any given time if you're Toronto. This is not the start you wanted. Too many shots, too many turnovers. The Empire get their offense on the field and they go to work. Atkins with Rushmire Bailey keeps it in the middle of the field. A lot of different options, and eventually there's not much the defense can do. You can't win from the middle of the field. There's too many people that can get open for you in too many situations. You've got to force it to the sideline. And there goes Matt LeBar. The C's part. He takes that gut shot, gets him another goal for the 3-goal lead.
Well, that's technically a break, but it's the New York O-line that stays perfect. Empire with only 1 turnover so far. They're 63 of 64 passing. Toronto just 20 of 23, 1 of 4 on their hucks. All their turns have been hucks, Brian. When they've been patient, they've been able to punch it in.
They got to get the dish to Chaffa and let him do the work. Let him be the one to make the hucks if they're there. He's got that experience. Gallant's got to get his feet moving. Make several cuts. Do this work the hard way. He's got that matchup against John Randolph. That's a sight to see. The 2 best first steps in Ultimate right now belong to those 2, and we get to see them guard each other.
Here's Chaffa coming under, chased by Whitlock. Polaz cross field. Gallant able to beat Randolph to the disc.
A nice throw, a really nice throw. Know your receiver with Gallant. He's got that foot speed that can match Randolph. Chaffa settling things down, almost a hand block. And Polaz sending it out to space. I thought Randolph might run that one down, but Gallant using his legs, finding the space. When you have a target like that, you can be confident even against the best defenders.
Gallant made his UFA debut back in 2022 when he was just 18 years old. That was as an Ottawa Outlaw. Played 4 games for Montreal in 2023. Joined Toronto last year, but only played 4 games because he was on the World Games team and Canada's U24 team. That also stole a bunch of bodies and talent away from Toronto. That disc sails OB. Closing in on a minute to play in this opening quarter.
Big possession here. Could be 6-3 Empire or 5-4 Rush. 5-4, still Empire in the lead, but the Rush within 1 if they're able to get this break. Super critical possession.
Toronto will receive to start the second.
1 minute remaining, folks.
We haven't really talked about Alex Davis yet.
This might be his first point of the night.
He's been on the field, but those are his first touches right there. Give and go, has the experience in North Carolina system.
A champion with the Flyers 5 years ago.
Incredibly fast. Just another speedster they can add in the open field. Look at this.
Big pit cross field from Logan Keeler, but he comes up empty. And it's Davis to Yacht with 17. Make it officially right around 31 seconds left, according to the stadium scoreboard.
Davis doesn't need much room to get open, but he had every ounce of field available to him. A little bit of a poachy look, trying to come up with a layout D, but it gets right past the defender. Oh, what a play. And Davis punches it in to Ben Yacht. This is what I was afraid of here for the Rush. The Empire have a chance to take a 6-3 lead into the second quarter. You wanted it to be closer. You don't want to let this game get away from you. Find that chemistry, and I think they have to really rely on Chaffa, but he's going to have to put it deep for them here.
Both teams spent a lot of time in the preseason working on these end-of-quarter situations. Chaffa handles the pull, moves it to Segal. Up the middle from Dillon. to Turner, and now Chaffa again. Double team comes, and then Randolph retreats.
Defense.
Rush in a pretty good position right now with some momentum with 11 seconds.
Defense.
Segal with 6. Right in front of the Empire bench. Double team comes. Segal hammer to the end zone. It's over Turner and incomplete. And the Rush come up empty at the buzzer. New York doubles up Toronto in the opening 12 with a couple of breaks and some really steady, solid offense for the hometown team.
A little bit of a nightmare start, finding a little bit of success on offense, but it's going to be really important for Toronto. Get the disc to Chaffa, be a little bit more patient, and find those easy goals so that way you can stay close going into the second quarter. Here at the end, he's trying to find it at the last second, not there. Toronto down by 3 here in New York.
Great to be back on the road to championship weekend coming up in August in Madison. The New York Empire certainly have visions of being there. They won a title in Madison back a few years ago. Of course, this rivalry changed in 2018, Brian. We all remember this East Division championship game. At this point, New York had been 0-17 all-time against Toronto. I don't think anyone really believed that Ben Yott, Jeff Babbitt, and Bo Kittredge would win this game, but they were in control. They won it late, and this really launched the dynasty.
It did. It gave them the confidence. It got them over the hump. It established that belief. And while they didn't win it that year, it certainly helped to feel confident going into the next year in 2019.
You remember that season a little bit?
Just a little bit. It was a nice one. I like it.
Winning the title over Dallas, avenging the loss in the semis from the year before. And obviously started a heck of a run, winning 3 championships in 4 seasons. Toronto finally got off the schneid against New York with a win last season at home. Turner throws it away on this first Rush possession of the second quarter. Marquez Brownlee hucks it to Nick Whitlock. The big man from New Zealand dishes it back to Antoine Davis, who picks up the assist to Axel Agami Contreras.
He is so quick. We talked about Golan. We talked about Randolph. Axel Agami Contreras has the foot speed there. There's no room to get open in the front of the end zone unless you have that agility and that first step. The little jab cut gets his defender to move. Antoine Davis finds him. But just an unforced error by Toronto. Whitlock does the work getting the huck and guarding Chaffa. You can see he's breathing a little heavy. He's got the big matchup of Contreras. Oh, what a move.
mean, he's been phenomenal the past couple of seasons for New York. He's still just 25. He'll turn 26 later this month. Marquez Brownlee has thrown more pulls in the UFA than any other player. That and the number of YouTube subscribers he's got, probably his two greatest accomplishments.
Another handler-driven look here. The Dominator and a good poach forces a long throw. And the Rush are a little disconnected, so they're taking another shot.
Another Toronto Hawk. 4 guys going deep, and it's going to float long enough for one of them. Run down by Evan Benveniste. And that ends up working out. Just the second Huck completion for Toronto as Shea gets the goal. And Toronto's back within 3.
Benveniste from the SUNY Proletariat, SUNY Buffalo, my alma mater. It's exciting to be able to come out here and see one of the alumni getting the work done. This Huck, I didn't know. I thought this was going to be another turnover.
Yeah, in the air, I thought too. But the wind, because he was throwing into the wind, it kind of sat up on that shelf.
And that's a good target, Benveniste coming over from Pittsburgh. Tall, long, also has the throws. Coming over the Rush and getting that D-line experience.
He's young too. Benveniste, 22. He'll be 23 later this month. 12 goals in 7 games last year for the Thunderbirds. His biggest game of the year came against a Chicago team that went undefeated and had a pretty good defense. He had 324 receiving yards against the Union.
A new look here, and Atkins is just the perfect pacifier for any double team trap that you're going to see. 6'4", it has every throw. Very easy for the Empire. It's a good look for Toronto, but they solve it very easily.
New York as a team only has 1 turnover, and that came from the D-line. So this O-line has been flawless so far. I would have felt bad for Braden Eberhard if I said that and then he threw the next one away. But he didn't. And it's LeBar dishing back for Williams, who's got Eberhard wide open if he wants him. Now I'll take him. Stall 4, stall 5-ish.
Empire just going to work to the middle of the field. They like the middle of the field. A lot more options. Defense so hard to guard from there.
Toronto's had some bids, Brian. They've been 6 inches away from a block, but they haven't gotten one yet. Against the New York O-line, that is.
There's definitely some poaching instincts on the field for the Rush defense, and they're going to need it. They're going to have to be creative. They're not going to win the one-on-one matchup.
Tough throw for Williams to break the mark there. Floats it perfectly and then gets it back from LeBar. That's a vintage Jack Williams point right there. 8-4 Empire.
He had some margin for error when you're throwing him at LeBar. There's so many speedsters on this New York team, but LeBar is maybe at the top. He's incredibly fast. And Williams misses here. I think he would want this throw back. It doesn't matter. And then after that break, it's off to the races. You can't keep up with Jack. Good luck.
What was it like coaching Jack Williams?
Easy to coach. You know, there was the occasional run in a practice when I think maybe he got a little bored and he wanted to try his thumbers. But besides that, Jack was a model citizen. Great player to have. Great person to be around the team. Makes everything feel loose.
He holds the UFA records for postseason completions and postseason assists. And that's another unforced error from the Toronto offense. Quickly picked up by Schnottigl. Dishes over for Jonas and into the end zone. Nick Whitlock has his first UFA goal. And it feels like the Empire are about to break this thing open.
It's already been broken open. They get the easy turnover. And that's a tough one. Overthrowing Gallant. Still maybe a throw that you would expect him to grab. And then after that, it's super simple. Pick it up, get it off the sideline. Schnottigl to Jonas. And I love where Jonas looks. He's not trying to score, but then it's too easy because Whitlock's wide open.
Well, the East Division belonged to Toronto from the Rush's inception through 2017. Then New York stunned them in 18. Undefeated seasons for the Empire in 19, 22, and 23. Of course, in 24, the Breeze won the East. losing in the semifinals, stunning fashion out in Salt Lake to Minnesota. And then last year, the Boston Glory made it out of the East. And old New York friend Jeff Babbitt hoisted the trophy for the 4th time. Of course, Babbitt back with Boston, played all right last week in his season debut for a Glory squad that looked fantastic. Toba Decrano was good last year. He was so much better last week than I remember him being even at championship weekend. 8 assists, 5 goals. The hammers he threw last week, Brian, were diabolical. And of course, his older brother was pretty good too, getting 5 blocks in his first game in the league.
Well, I got a little taste of Lander Decrana on the Beach World Championships. He's a real deal defender.
Look into the end zone. This is Rowan Jameson, but he can't get it. The officials, though, are calling interference.
Dude, you got it. No integrity on that?
Matt Stevens calling for the integrity. And I don't disagree at the first look. Let's see here. A little bit in the back. I am surprised that's a foul. I think letter of the law. He impedes his jumping ability.
Axel Agami Contreras called for the foul, taking away the spectacular block. So Toronto has it on the doorstep.
You can see how much John Randolph's playing in space right now, just anticipating the forward momentum towards the end zone.
Is he in? Yes. Landed in. Toronto now 4 for 4 in the red zone so far tonight. When they've gotten it down to the red zone, they have been efficient. And it's the first goal of the season for Owen Robinson, who had 4 goals in 10 games for the Rush a year ago.
And they work it here through the Dominator set, through the New York defense. Great surveying of the field. Finding the soft space in the middle. That's a tough part. It opens up right at the last second. Gets him the easy goal. Komiri back there with Shea. Komiri on the D-line now coming over to play after that break. He's got that veteran experience. Started with the Rush back in 2019.
New York's offense going downwind. And Alex Atkins uncorks a gigantic backhand huck. Length of the field for Ben Yacht. Multiple defenders, does not matter at all with Yacht in the area. Atkins to Yacht for the first time.
And only one spike, unless I missed it. This disc was in the air forever. And if it's going to be in the air for a long time, you better have a good target. That's Ben Yacht, embracing the dad life. But that's a good target. I don't think that's Atkins' best throw, but it didn't really matter. With a downwind, that disc just carried and carried and carried.
Those hand warmers that Yacht has? I mean, it's cool, but it's not cold.
I mean, they think of everything. Back in those Salt Lake, Colorado trips, they had the oxygen to take whiffs of between points and be ready to go.
It's mid-upper 50s. I think hand warmer is a little soft, but that's easy for me to say.
Yeah, but it feels like 45, Evan. Another Dominator look, getting it back to Chatha. A lot of handler motion.
It is far warmer here than it was in Boston last Saturday for the Breeze and the Glory. Brian, did you hear about DC's travel issues getting up to Boston last week? They had kind of the nightmare of all travel nightmares. They were on the train and they had passed New York, and then there was an issue with the track, so they had to turn around, head back to New York. A couple guys on the team close to midnight raced to the airport to get rental cars, and then they had to drive the rest of the way. They didn't get into Boston until 3-4 a.m. So all things considered, Xavier Maxstad, the new Breeze coach, didn't feel too bad about the results of that game, like their third quarter. And of course, DC will be here next Sunday for a special Mother's Day edition of Friday Night Frisbee. And again, when Toronto's been patient, they've been pretty good. Marty Gallant has his second goal of the night.
It's easy, right? You take your time, you use your legs, you've got some of the best pairs there with Gallant, and let Chatha take the shots if you need to. You don't need to rush, you don't need to be too quick, and they're figuring it out. Not the start you wanted, but here's where you can settle in and now give your defense a chance.
Arav Segal with the assist. Segal was a handler for the U24 Canada Open team last year. Won a bronze medal at the U24 championships. Look at that view. Everybody's the same height at that overhead angle. Here's Braden Eberhard. Eberhard beginning med school in Philadelphia, but choosing to play with New York. Came to tryouts, impressed. Student of the game for sure. Nice sliding grab for Yacht. Now Alex Davis sending Jacob Cowan. Chase from behind. Cowan drops it.
He does all the hard work right. He boxes out. He reads the play correctly, and then it slips through his fingers. Oh, that's so tough.
Harry Norris was the defender nearby. That's the first turnover for New York's O-line, and a quick timeout taken by Jamie Millage, the second-year head coach of the Toronto Rush.
Ben Benista wanted that opportunity. The D-line hasn't had the chances in this game, but with 4:31 to go, you got to use your timeouts, get your offense on the field, go with your game plan, and Cowan can't believe it. And I can't really either. That's a tough one.
We have seen Jacob Cowan make so many spectacular grabs. Down on the sideline, we got Dan Hilton, the voice of the New York Empire, joining our Friday Night Frisbee crew tonight. Dan, what's the vibe on the sideline? Has the wind died down at all, or is it still whistling out there?
The wind has died down a little bit, but it's a bit chillier. And I think that, yeah, again, the players think they're all tough with their short sleeves. But I think, again, just a little bit of chill. Fingers might be getting cold. And I think there is something to be said about the swirling wind that does make those discs, especially the one you saw with Cowan in that end zone in particular. That's where that wind is going to, and then pushing up against the rocks. And I think everybody, except for Ben Yacht, of course, had a little bit of trouble with it.
All right, Dan, thank you. We'll come back to you in a bit. Toronto with its first break chance of the evening, Brian. And if they could get it, get back within 3, gain some momentum late in the half, who knows?
They just got to find a way to chip away at it. Take advantage of this opportunity and work with your legs. They have to find the openings, and look at that little slash.
Looking deep. Antoine Davis, secondary defender. Antoine Davis is there. Anticipated it well, and he wins the foot race on the shot intended for Ryan Polas.
You just don't need that. It hasn't been there for most of the game. Yeah, they've hit one in this direction, but with Antoine Davis lurking, you have to be sure.
Axel Agami Contreras with Polas stride for stride as well. John Randolph played so well for New York's offense late last season, but they've moved him back to D to start this year, and I think they're excited about that. Schneidergle didn't really attack the disc, but he handles it anyway, and now Brownlee with power position.
Well, Randolph will be ready for anything, and you want to use him as much as you can, but if you can, with the luxury to use him on defense, he can guard just about anybody. He's matched up with the best of them.
Is Randolph going to huck it? Yes, he is. Perfect throw from JR, whose career began in this league with Seattle as an anchor handler when he was 18 years old. Schneidergle runs down the huck, resets to Davis, who fires a fastball to nobody.
I think it just hung on his finger. He's smiling. He knows he missed badly, and it probably hung on to those sticky gloves because we can't tell who he was trying to throw to.
So the turnovers coming fast and furious now. Puts into perspective what Carolina did last Friday night. 6 turnovers in the game, 5 officially on the current stats. Still think it was 6, but that's a matter for another time. Rush are going to take their final time out of the half.
Great timeout call. Nothing was getting going. Marquez Brownlee was locking down, and you had nothing available.
So who comes back onto the field here? Because this was Toronto's O-line. It is a Toronto D point. They'll have their second break chance of the point as New York turns it over in the red zone.
Looks like they're going with fresh bodies, and that's what's important here.
Second red zone giveaway for New York. Empire got a bunch of early home games. Their first 3 games are at home. Tonight, a week from Sunday against DC. And then the following Saturday against the Colorado Apex in the Atkins revenge game. And then the Empire's first road game is at DC on May 23rd over Memorial Day weekend. Of course, we'll all be looking forward to Friday Night Frisbee on June 5th, when for the first time in the UFA we'll see Toba versus Don. The Belgian battle, Boston, New York, arguably the 2 best players in the league right now.
Arguably the 2 best players in the world right now. The way DeCrona is playing, so much fun to watch.
Looking long again. And Labar with some contact, and the whistle is up, and it's interference. Benvenista can't clean up the trash, but the foul goes against Matt Labar.
I like that call. Labar runs into him. And, you know, I think Labar is saying, look, it was a box-out play, physicality, but when you knock over a player like this and they don't have an opportunity to make a catch, I think you have to call it.
Rush on the goal line. New York trying to create some chaos. Doing a pretty good job of it so far. But someone had to be open. And Luke Camire has the score with less than a minute to play in the half. That's a break for Toronto, their first of the night, to get back within 3.
Huge. Anything you can do to build up positive momentum going into halftime is huge for this rush squad. They trust the D-line to come on the field and get the break. A gutsy call by Coach Jamie Millage. You have to trust your team. It's early in the season. I like the reliance here on everybody. If you're going to win this game, it's going to be not because Chatha and Gallant go every other. It's going to be because you get great performances by Benvenista, Komire, Dylan, and the like.
That was the first UFA assist for Noah Nishizaki, who was a silver medalist at the U24 World Championships with the Canada squad last year that went all the way to the finals before falling to USA 15-8. Here's Braden Eberhard working with Atkins. Guys who used to be rivals, Salt Lake versus Colorado. Cowan takes care of it, cross midfield. Plenty of time for New York. Empire do have a timeout if they need it. Now going backwards to Chartok. 30 seconds remaining in the opening half. Season opener for both New York and Toronto, 2 teams that began in this league back in 2013. Toronto won a title in that very first season. New York, 3 championships to their credit. 10 seconds for Cowan. Cross, hammer. Got it. Solomon Rushmeyer Bailey making Alex Atkins running it down in the near corner for the New York score with 2.5 seconds remaining.
It looked like for a second the Empire might have to rush, and they kind of did. Cowan, though, trusting the space, and Atkins makes it look easy. It's been the opening half the Empire have wanted. The Rush have battled back a little bit, and they've settled down a little bit. You want to see, maybe can they get something here with 2 seconds to go? But so far, it's been a great performance, a great start for this Empire squad.
Oh, that's an excellent pull downwind. Here, Toronto just don't do anything silly here playing from your own back line. They're going to need to throw at least one pass. But as long as they throw it in the field of play and it hangs in the air for 2.5 seconds, they should be okay. That will work for the rush. Don't believe he got it off. The whistles blow, and that is the end of the first half. Ben Yot chases it down all the way across the sideline. I don't know if we'll get credit for that block. We'll keep tabs. Only 3 turnovers in the first half for the Empire, Bryan, and new addition Alex Atkins with 2 goals and 2 assists. Ben Yot has 3 goals, one of them on the Atkins huck. New York by 4 at the break.
The new weapons look great. They're integrating seamlessly. Atkins starting in the backfield, going downfield, doing a great job. In the pressure from the New York defense, some unforced hucking turnovers here from the rush early on. They got to settle in, or else the Empire are going to run away with this.
Ben Yot's UFA career began well over a decade ago. He played for the Minnesota Wind Chill back in 2014 when he was still playing college Frisbee at the University of Minnesota with Grey Duck, a program that he helped win a championship with. Prayer at the end of the half did not count, released by Max Ayad, and it's 11-7 New York. We've got Empire co-head coach Anthony Nunez on the headset. Nunez, thanks for joining us. How would you evaluate that first half? Did it go according to your plans?
I mean, yeah, the defense is playing out of their heads. Our offense is playing pretty consistently. Only giving up 1 break is the way it's supposed to be, right? And then for our defense, like, they're playing very tenacious, and we're kind of bullying them a little bit with our size, which is as planned.
The offense has gotten out to a great start. It looks like you have pieces being able to be moved around downfield and the backfield. What can they do better? How do they go better than here? You had the 1 drop from Cowan, but besides that, what can you improve on?
Yeah, I mean, we can always keep improving. That's the whole point of it being the first game. I think we could probably be a little bit more fluid within our positions. Like we have, a few people going downfield and staying downfield. We could have some people coming back and handling a little bit too, or dropping back into the reset space.
Strong first half for Alex Atkins. I know you've known him for a long time. Do you remember your first impressions of Kins? When you guys first connect?
So the first time I ever met Atkins, he was probably in either 8th grade or freshman year of high school. And my first interaction with him was he was on the double team for U16 and heckling one of the U20 kids, a guy named Jonah Wish, who was on the now defunct Spinners. And just heckling him from the sidelines, and that's when the smack talking began with Alex, I think, and it's just increased since.
So it sounds like more of the same. He fit in pretty well in the first half, though, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Alex is great. He's a team player. He wants to be here. He's excited. And on top of that, when you add in all of the other high-energy players that we have, like Yacht, like Antoine, like Marquez, and it's hard to believe that Marquez is a high-energy player, but he's way more high-energy than you realize.
Nunez, appreciate the time. We'll let you get to the locker room. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you very much.
Anthony Nunez, along with Matt Stevens, trying to get this Empire team back to championship weekend here in 2026. Strong first half, Bryan. 2 goals, 2 assists for Atkins. As a team, New York only has 3 total turnovers, and they lead by 4 at halftime over the Rush on Friday Night Frisbee. Opening night for the 2026 edition of the New York Empire. They lead to Toronto Rush 11-7 at the half here at the stadium at Memorial Field, Mount Vernon, New York, just a little bit north of downtown Manhattan. First half highlights, Bryan Jones, feature some really smooth offense from New York. This doesn't look like opening night for their O. When there has been a 50-50 disc, their height, size, and positioning has mostly taken care of it. And when Toronto has been patient, they've been pretty solid offensively, too. It's when they've hucked, they've gotten into trouble.
I think a little bit of early nerves and the want to hit the deep shots. They look appetizing because New York is forcing you to take the deep shots. They want you to take those risks where they can win with their matchups, like with Benyat right there, towering over anybody and everybody.
One break in the first half for Toronto. They had 2 break opportunities, both on the same point. Meanwhile, Empire go 4 for 5 on break chances. And the 4 Huck turnovers, feel like kind of the difference in the game. I'm not sure that's a fair statement considering what we've seen from New York and just how solid they've been offensively.
Well, it is a difference in the game. You're exactly right. The 4 Huck turnovers have pretty much directly led to those breaks that we saw. And you can see the difference in completions, too. New York with about 30 more throwing attempts completions. They're trying to score in a more patient, sustainable way, whereas the Rush are taking too many risky shots.
All right, we'll take a quick timeout. Second half action just a few minutes away as the Rush and Empire open up their 2026 seasons here on Friday Night Frisbee. Second half moments away here on Friday Night Frisbee. Empire leading the Rush 11-7. We've got Rush head coach Jamie Millage on the headset. Jamie, thanks for joining us. Interesting first half. Thought your team stabilized as it went along. What was your take on the first 24?
Yeah, we're excited about it. We have a room full of guys who hate to lose, so that was kind of the message at halftime. Reminded them of some of the good things that are going on. We got an O-line. We've injected Gagin in there, his first time with that line, and they're working out some of the kinks. And on the other hand, we got a D-line that has been rolling pretty well. So overall, we're happy with it. I think we're limiting a lot of the big primary options on New York still. Obviously, they're a good team and going to keep finding ways to do what they do.
It looks like New York has about 30 more throwing attempts than you right now. Do you see that as a contrast in the way that you guys want to work the disc? Was it an intentional come out hucking, or do you want your team to kind of let the game come to them a little bit more?
I don't think it's intentional, and I haven't checked the stats at half. I think that's something we got to do a better job of. But I think it's just kind of the way the game has gone. I think they've had some good pressure Ds that have caused turns, and we've been on D a little more than we want. But yeah.
How do you create some blocks against the New York offense?
We got to keep the pressure up. I feel like we've had a lot of close ones. So, we are looking at the patterns they're running, the systems they've got going on, and we're going to try to jump those lanes a little more.
Jamie, really appreciate the time. Best of luck in the second half.
Awesome. Thank you.
Toronto only had one block in the first half. It was Phil Turner playing O-line. So that's no one on the starting Toronto D-line with a block yet against the general New York offense.
And really, they got the one turnover out of the offense, which was a drop from Cowan. And Antoine Davis is coming off his fingers and a little bit weird. And so they haven't been able to generate a lot of pressure. They've come close with some poachy layouts, and I like seeing that, but a lot of this is, can your offense be consistent? It's tough against the Empire and the way they bring pressure, and they're going to have to make better decisions in the second half, and they don't have much time. Empire starting on offense.
You see the group that started the game. Cowan, Rushmeyer, Bailey, Atkins, Yacht, and Williams, with Matt Labar and Oliver Chartok. We've got Dan Hilton down on the sideline. Dan, what are you seeing and hearing down there?
Well, on the way over, asking Coach Nunez, I said, Antoine Davis is going to get a ton of early touches there in that first quarter. I said, is that on purpose? And he said, no, not really. It's just the flow of the offense. And Antoine does have his own goals in touching the disc a lot more. And maybe that is because, yes, roommate Atkins.
Deep shot from Oliver Chartok is a dime to Jacob Cowan. Go ahead, Dan.
It's Atkins and Twan, but everybody on this Empire team seems to be able to throw now. But yeah, because Atkins and Twan are putting in that work as roommates since Atkins arrived in New York. And so it's got Antoine and the feeling, hey, I want to throw the disc a little bit more, but only within the offense. So again, asking the coaching staff from the Empire on the sideline, they said, no, we're just, everybody do it within your flow. It's the first game of the season, but really, as we've seen too, cold fingers were, as people were coming out of the locker room, the main talking point, with the trainers just saying, hey, let's warm up those hands and make sure we're ready to catch and throw. Simple stuff here in the second half.
I mean, you could think of anything to try to make your team win. Fingers warm in the rainy weather. There was one time, Evan, I went out for my old UConn college teams, and I bought 30 pairs of Gorilla Grip gloves from Home Depot. It was a downpour. It was worth it. After the first game, it was all canceled, and it didn't matter. So I still have 26 pairs at home, but, I was prepared.
You are ready with gloves for the rest of your life.
I could do a lot of gardening, that's for sure.
Toronto's first offensive possession of the second half. Are they going to come out hucking like they did to start the first? Patient, at least at the start of the possession. Dagan Chatha played 3 seasons for the Vancouver Riptide, last of which was 9 years ago. Here's another huck for Toronto, and that's a great diving catch just shy of the goal line. Spectacular play from Marty Gallant, running it down and then flipping it to Phil Turner for the Toronto score.
It wasn't how I would draw it up, but it doesn't matter. When you have a weapon downfield and you trust him, it doesn't matter. Pawaz, once again, finding the space to Gallant. The concentration, no doubt. Didn't trap that disc, and then Turner makes it official.
Turner now filling up the stat sheet. He's got a block, he's got an assist, and there's his first goal. Feels like New York's in complete control, and yet a 4-goal game. We have seen deficits like this overcome a lot. I think the reason it feels like such a significant lead is because New York has only turned it over 3 times in the game's first 25 and a half minutes.
And there's no one to key in on for New York right now. They're getting contributions from everybody up and down the roster. Yeah, Atkins maybe taking a couple of high-profile shots and receiving some of the hammers, but they're moving every piece around on the chessboard and just forcing you to have to guard everybody. And that's a tough thing to do. You have to get every matchup right.
Akifumi Moraoka was on Alex Davis, wanted a travel call, didn't get it. Davis continues for LeBar. Wonder if Moraoka can make something happen defensively for Toronto. Rushmeyer-Bailey with a visionary find for Jack Williams, who floats it casually to Benyat. One thing you're interested in seeing with these new pieces when they get in a stall 5, stall 6 situation, are guys moving in unison? Are they running the same reset scheme? Are they running the Carolina or the Salt Lake or the Colorado reset schemes?
Well, all these players are just incredibly intelligent and experienced, and you don't need much structure. But in the past, when there has been confusion, it's been leaders like Jack Williams bringing together the O-line, Rushmeyer-Bailey, calling meetings to make sure everybody's on the same page. With this talent, as long as you're on the same page, it's going to be easy a lot of the time. You can see here, no rush, no worry about trying to force it in the end zone, and they just work it. Not quite in.
LeBar crossfield, floats it high. Benyat needs to make a play. And like he's done so many times, he takes care of business in the end zone for New York.
After I praised him so much for working at LeBar, puts up a sky ball, but he does it to the correct person. That's as guaranteed as a dump swing or a reset to Jack Williams. LeBar out of JMU. And he feels more confident than previous seasons. We haven't seen him, I think, take these throwing risks. We saw Scuba earlier, and we see this throw up to Benyat.
Fourth goal for Yacht. LeBar involved in 4 scores, throwing 3 of them. Benyat 33 now, will turn 34 in August. I speculated, Brian, over the past couple of years that I thought Yacht might be entering a different stage of his career athletically. I feel really dumb for making that speculation. I think he is as good as he has always been. I think he's matured as a player and, doesn't try to do too much, which may have been one of the things that got him into trouble at times in the past as a 2-time MVP. Gallant looking crossfield for Segal. Randolph unable to make a play on the plastic, and Segal will take JR's congrats as the score brings the Rush back within 4.
Like a homing missile, John Randolph is coming in on Segal trying to make this play, and Gallant's throwing a great throw. It's out to space, but you have John Randolph on Segal coming in, and he can't find the angle because Segal does a good job of reading the play, using that body positioning to box him out. Gallant has had a couple of receptions early on in this game. He's used his feet, and he's going to continue to be stretched. The first thing is when you take an athletic player is you say, let's see if we can make him a thrower. So far, he's been the receiver, but now he's proven he can also make those tough throws with this one. Out to space, and Segal does a lot of the work to make sure John Randolph doesn't have the angle, but still a good throw.
Those are 2 young players, 2 young connectors, Gallant and Segal, that the Rush certainly hope those 2 guys are the cornerstone of the next decade for Toronto Frisbee. To the middle of the field, Oliver Chartok continues to be super steady. And after taking their time in the red zone, a possession to go, New York scores in no time here.
Your goal as a defense and as a defensive coordinator is try to get the other team out of rhythm. Try to get them out of flow. And if you want to know what a definition of flow is, you just have to watch the New York Empire on this possession. It just doesn't stay in the hands of anybody for that long. Once the ball gets moving, they find the leverage. They continue to have that leverage. The break throw, the leading break to space, the poach isn't successful, and then it's just crisp passes right in a row to a wide open Cowan.
Marquez Brownlee rips the pull.
I was surprised to talk about Marquez as a high-energy player. He plays lockdown great defense, but He has a quiet intensity, not a loud one, not like Atkins and Yacht.
Yeah, it's different for sure. Chatted with Marquez before the game. I was curious where the name Marquez came from. And I'll tell you the story after this sequence, which is a Turner turnover. Say that 10 times fast. When Marquez's parents were expecting Marquez, they wanted a name that started with the letter M, because his dad is MKB and his grandfather, his dad's dad, is also MKB. And his mom wanted something with a French origin. And that's how they came up with Marquez. He said when he was a kid, he kind of just stopped correcting people because not instinctive about how to pronounce it when you see it. Could be Marcus or Marquise, but of course everybody in the tech world knows MKB HD as New York turns it over for the 4th time.
I wonder if, just like Jalen Rose, if we're going to see a lot of Marquez's in the future. Jalen was, of course, the first Jalen.
I hope my Jaylen Brown can earn a battle with Jalen Brunson. Well, that's questionable up in the air right now, and our producer is hoping that Jaylen Brown sits this one out. Sloppiest point of the match. New York with another break chance here past the midway point in the 3rd quarter.
They trusted the D-line to try to get the job done on the first one. Is Matt Stevens ready to call the timeout, or is he just going to let this ride and tire out that Toronto O-line?
Davis for Randolph, but thought about the huck. Back to Antoine, who throws it into a crowd, and Randolph makes the play. Continued downfield by Jonas. Axel Agami Contreras to Antoine. Crossfield hammer looking for Schnottigel, and it's denied by Toronto's Chaffa.
Antoine Davis has not been known for throwing hammers or taking some of those risks. But as we heard earlier from Dan Hilton, here we go.
Ooh, Randolph sneaks in for the block. 3rd break chance of the point is the charm for New York. And Schnottigel punctuates the point with a score. Largest lead of the night for the Empire.
So this point starts with another look to Gallant. He's been a deadly receiver. But New York has athlete after athlete that can just wear you down. They can send so many fast people on. And then John Randolph, after a couple turnovers, comes through, gets the easy run-through block. And after that, you've got to wonder, is this it for that O-line? Do they have the energy to keep fighting?
Kind of a learning moment there for a guy making his UFA debut in Spencer Dillon, a guy the Rush are very excited about, but he's just kind of standing there waiting for the clap catch, not moving toward the Frisbee. Easy block for Randolph.
And that's a result of the continuous pressure you're going to experience from an Empire team like this. There's really only one other team you can expect to be able to match that, and that's going to be Boston. For Toronto, like you said, I think this is a learning moment. That defensive line out in the field again, trying to run with handler motion, get some momentum, some passes under their chest each time. But there's not much room. And they find a little bit of daylight.
Owen Robinson unmarked. Middle of the field for Benvenista. And his throw into the turf, incomplete. New York a chance to extend the lead to 7 late here in the 3rd quarter. Nick Whitlock has huge throws. Floating into the deep space, and it's denied by Benvenista.
Benvenista making it up. He had the turnover earlier. Gets it right back.
Deep shot intended for Elliott Bemis, who's tonight is playing his first UFA game since 10 years ago yesterday. April 30th, 2016 was the last time Bemis played. He's now 32 years old. He's still playing club mixed with some of these guys. Oliver Chartok, Axel Agami, they recruited him back to the Empire. Now Turner going deep, and he's got it for Toronto. I beg your pardon, that's Nathan Shea in the end zone. 24, not 34. Toronto with the circuitous hold. But they're back within 5 when the umpire could have stretched it to 7.
They had the opportunity. Whitlock putting it deep for Bemis. And it looks like Contreras, Axel Contreras might be injured. He's walking off gingerly. Ryan Anderson, the trainer, goes up. Shea let him know about it. And a great block by Ben Benista. And then the hucking is going to continue.
Logan Keeler in his debut takes the deep shot and picks up his first assist with the backhand. Shea kind of drops the pull in the direction of the defender.
I love what Keeler's been doing on the defensive side so far. They haven't come up with a block yet, but you have to try to do something creative. And Keeler has been one of the players poaching against those dominator sets. It is so tough to contain the Empire offense. You can see it here. And a lot of times they have 3 players back. They're going to really run the show. And then they have a 4th waiting to just get involved and choose their moment. Looks like Atkins is going to come in now and try to get involved in the set. And somebody's going to push out, and that's Eberhard.
Eberhard was sneaky, going deep in spots where they would never expect when he was a member of the Shred. Caught a handful of goals doing that.
And now the question is, the Empire, they're going to use it through the handlers. Well, unless Atkins has it, and he's going to put it deep.
Looking for Benyat in the end zone. He finds him, and that could be a foul in addition to the goal. That's a new rule this year. Don't see a signal from our head ref, Owen Butler. But you can have, as I call it, the and one, the goal plus the foul, and then charge 10 or 20 yards on the ensuing pull. Alas, it's Benyat in the end zone again. I think they might have found something with this Atkins to Yacht duo.
I think it's going to happen a lot, and this is what makes it so tough. First of all, it's Benyat. Second of all, it's Alex Atkins. Third of all, they're running a handler-driven set where everybody on defense has to be prepared to guard people in the short field reset spaces. So if you're guarding Benyat, you think they're going to try to work it up the field and just take their time. You have to pick a poison. And that's why you're forcing Benyat deep. It's almost unheard of, but you have to do it. You have to take a risk, and that's what's so dangerous about this Empire offense right now. Back of the end zone for Toronto, finding Gallant. They're still pinned on the sideline with the pressure mounting from New York.
Brownlee forcing backhand, and here's Gallant in his own end zone. Wow, that was nifty. Little push pass in Callahan country is a choice.
Ben Benista spent some time on the O-line for Pittsburgh last year, had a great game late in the season. A lot of hucks, and now has come over. I think at this point, you're trying to figure something out.
Tough catch. Keep possession alive there by Dillon. Multiple cutters going deep, and the laser out of the reach of everyone. As soon as Arav Segal released that, he wanted it back.
And that's a tough one. The wind's died down a little bit as it's gotten deeper into the night, but you still have to put a lot of juice and put it up on a shelf.
Labar shoots it. Axel Agami Contreras makes the play. Another Empire break.
And I'm just watching the rush walk off the field, dejected. It's tough with the amount of pressure. And when you give them free opportunities and another hucking turnover, they're going to take advantage of it. They have an army of athletic players that can run these things down. And Labar, not known for being a hucker, but this is too good to pass up. And the only complaint I have, why one hand?
That's the coach in me, but you got to find places to nitpick if you're the umpire. You got to try to find ways to get better. But this has been a near perfect night.
That right there, the 6th break of the game for New York in 10 chances. They've got 6 breaks. They've only had 6 turnovers as a team.
6 breaks from 6 hucking turnovers for the Rush. That's the story of this game.
Thought Morocco was going to let that one fly as well. Instead, he thought better of it. We're in the final minute of the third. Got a beautiful full moon rising just beyond the scoreboard here at Memorial Field in Mount Vernon. The first of 3 straight home games for the New York Empire to begin their 2026 season. Their next one is a very rare Sunday afternoon edition of Friday Night Frisbee. 9 days from now on Mother's Day. There's a block in the middle of the field from Ben Simmons. Schneidergle sends it as far as he can at the buzzer. Randolph in pursuit. John Randolph looked like he got a fingertip on it, but he's unable to bring it in with the multiple Toronto defenders chasing after it as well. Well, just like the first quarter, the Empire win the third quarter 6 points to 3. There's the full moon rising above the scoreboard, and it's a touchdown lead for New York at the end of the third.
They've dominated the game. They brought the pressure from point 1, and the Hucks just haven't been falling for the Toronto Rush. Labar showcasing his many talents. He's become a thrower this game. Hitting Axel Agami Contreras. He's got the motor. He's got the motion. Empire up by 7.
Captain Lawrence is the exclusive food and beverage provider of the New York Empire.
The winner in double overtime for New York.
Check out their truck at every Empire home game. And good luck deciding between their terrific sandwiches and awesome burgers. Maybe just get both.
We look forward to seeing you all season long
at the stadium at Memorial Field in Mount Vernon, New York.
New York 17, Toronto 10, with 12 minutes left on this edition of Friday Night Frisbee. This is the first of 10 UFA games on the schedule this weekend. Game 2 comes up in about 30 minutes from Salt Lake City, the Oregon Steel and the Salt Lake Shred. Salt Lake also playing tomorrow night in Oakland. That is the WatchUFA.tv game of the week. Make sure you get that Watch UFA TV subscription locked and loaded. Tomorrow you got Boston, Montreal, Chicago, Minnesota, Oakland, Salt Lake. And the Rush turn it over to start the fourth with Schneidergle getting the block.
No Chatha, no Gallant on the field.
Whitlock forcing Randolph to sprint. And it's a throwaway.
You wonder if this is a little bit of a white flag move here from Toronto. Comire has offensive experience. It's good to see him there. But no Chatha, no Gallant. Not sure if Turner is on the field for this offensive possession.
Toronto's got a big game tomorrow at Philly. 7 o'clock start in the city of brotherly love. Dillon launching another laser. Logan Keeler with 20 yards of separation between him and the closest defender. And threw it backwards, and yet it's still an assist, because the momentum of Owen Robinson soared into the end zone for Toronto. And that is a dirty hole to start the fourth quarter for the Rush.
Just finding a little bit of their groove. And Jamie Millich talked about Keeler, and he talked about Gallant. He said, I don't want to guard Gallant. I don't want to be guarded by Keeler. But Keeler there getting it done. You can see the foot speed. You can see his first step. These are valuable reps as Dillon hits the deep shot. And he waited on it, too. There was some deep help early in the possession. He does a good job of waiting for it to open up. And this is one of the first tucks of the game where it's simple. It's wide open. It's too much to pass up. And they do a good job hitting and executing.
Already mentioned the can't-miss game tomorrow night in the Bay. Shred Spiders, first of 3 regular season meetings. We'll see Oakland at Salt Lake. Friday night Frisbee, week 13. Last week of the regular season. Also next Saturday, Atlanta's at San Diego. West Coast trip for the Hustle. And then we'll be right back here next Sunday as Jacob Cowan looking deep. Alex Atkins, the acrobatic snag. Just shy of the goal line. It's Atkins to Yacht again. The assist wasn't the highlight, though. A thrilling sky from Alex Atkins in his Empire debut.
He makes the extraordinary look ordinary. It may be a highlight reel play for most, but I think this is just another Friday for Alex Atkins. The Gumby-like flexibility reaching over the back of his head. He's done it all. Started in the backfield there. Saul Rushmire Bailey centers the disc to him. He gets it back, and then he's going deep. Jacob Cowan. Everybody in the Empire feasting tonight. Look at this one. Like I said, that's an ordinary catch for an extraordinary man. He makes it look so easy. Evan, we've all had those receivers where you know you can just put it up and they're going to make the play for you. And the Empire, I think, have about 7 of them on the field at any given time.
That's the 3rd New York score, Atkins to Yacht. Overall, Yacht's got 6 goals. Atkins involved with 6 scores, 4 assists, and a couple goals himself. Atkins is New York's yardage leader up to this point. 390 total yards. He's 22 for 22 passing.
Gallant back on. Dillon with the disc. Work in the middle of the field. These are just such valuable reps for anybody.
To pick downfield. Toronto will backpedal 10 yards. Brian, it has been an extraordinarily long time since the Rush won a game on American soil against an East Division opponent. They've won on the road at Montreal as the huck goes for Gallant. Marty Gallant shows the speed and catches it without having a bid. Toronto's last road win on American soil was at Detroit. The previous road win before that was at San Francisco. There's no Detroit or San Francisco anymore in the UFA. The last time the Rush beat an East team on the road in the U.S. that still exists, April 15th, 2018 at Philly. And this is producing at the next level. The last time New York lost a home opener was the day before the Rush's last road win over a U.S. team in the East Division. Toronto winning the home opener of that 2018 season for New York. But of course the Empire would have the last laugh at the end of that 2018 season. That night, Brian, July 28th, 2018, I still think is one of the wildest nights in UFA history. I was in Dallas that night with Ian Toner for Carolina in Dallas. Carolina, I think, was up 5 or 6 late in the first half, late in the third. Dallas came back and stole the game and went to championship weekend.
What a throw by Jack Williams.
Beautiful shot for Cowan.
Wasn't even moving when he threw it, had nowhere else to go. But it was a crazy sequence of events.
Yeah, and then we were watching the score updates from that New York-Toronto game, and we couldn't believe it.
Well, and then the week before, I think it was, me and you called that unbelievably torrential downpour in D.C.
That's right.
Where I think, maybe it gets budget judgment, I shouldn't admit this, but we were desperate, and I went and I found a mostly clean garbage bag to throw over my head to walk out of that stadium because I've never seen rain like that before.
That was the same day as the World Club Championship final between Revolver and Colony. That was one of the wilder days of my broadcasting life, too, because I called the World Championship final in the morning indoors in Cincinnati. And then later that day, called that torrential downpour game. It's still a miracle my flight made it from Dayton to D.C. New York has 20. No, not in yet. Simmons resets. Luke Barry overthrows Everett Shapiro in the back of the end zone. Luke Barry, a guy that the Empire are excited about. Been trying out for this team for a while. He's finally made it at age 23. And New York excited about the energy he's brought to practice. But a red zone miscue there with New York leading by 7. We got 7.5 minutes to play. Oh, spectacular defensive effort there. Ben Simmons with another block for New York. And now we get Matt Stevens calling for a timeout with 7 minutes even on the clock. And New York will send the O-line onto the field.
If you're trying to criticize the Empire in this game, you're going to find not much to speak about. I'm not sure about this timeout call. It's early season. You want to get your team's experience.
2 years ago, Jeff Babbitt, storybook, leaving New York, going to Boston, somehow sneaking through the crowd, and then Orion Cable spiking the game-winning stuff. Last year, it was not competitive. The sloppiest Empire offensive game in a long time. You see the records, 57-3 from 19 to 23, with 11 playoff wins and 3 titles. And look, 15-11 is not bad, but I said at the top of the show, the standard in New York is different.
Well, when you lose a player like Jeff Babbitt, who is just another one of those safety valves, safety release valves, he can get open at any given time. And their stars got a little older. A few people kind of aged out. The dross. The New York O-line cruises here. And again, just real quick, going back to the timeout call. It's early season. You want your defense to get a lot of reps. I'm not sure that the offense is benefiting here from being on cruise control. Yeah, you can use all your timeouts if you want to, but I would keep the defense on the field. You want to make sure you stack up against Boston later in the season and everybody cruising.
Well, let's talk about your first impressions of Boston. Compare with your first impressions what you've seen tonight from New York.
I mean, they look dominant, right? Both teams. The New York Empire offense, I thought you might see some hiccups. You might see some issues. But in this case, you're seeing them on cruise control. There has not been a single thing that the Rush have been able to do to make them look uncomfortable. Maybe some minor moments. Maybe.
This is a dumb question, and I know it while I ask. How does Don DeMarais fit into the Empire?
He's going to love it. it's going to be like heaven for him. He's going to be able to sit back, and then now you have incredible flexibility. I mean, you got to wonder, with this type of performance, just a little bit, and somebody's going to feel foolish for asking a question is, do you put Dande Murray on defense? And the answer is, of course, no, but you figure out a way to use him in every single capacity possible.
You said earlier tonight, arguably, Toba Decrana, Dande Murray, the two best players in the world right now. Are they 1A, 1B? Do you give one of those Belgian stars the slight edge in your coach or fan brain? Break it down for me.
I mean, I think Tobe right now is just producing at a level offensively that's incredible. But the all-around player that's the best is Don. The ability to get the block in the clutch moment, to get a block that nobody else can get, that's just incredible to watch.
Segal shoots it, and in the end zone, it's Toronto's Gagan Chafa. With 5:45 to play, the rush back within 7. Well, you wonder if we will see Don guarding Toba 5 weeks from tonight in Boston.
If it gets to crunch time, you know you're going to see it. And I think you got to give the credit to the development going on in Belgium. In everything they've done there to have these two superstars.
Yeah.
And then Lander Decrana.
And a guy who is so good, who never gets talked about because of the shadow of Toba and Don. Sofiane Bontemps had some unreal highlights for Chicago last year.
And I've got to experience firsthand coaching against Team Belgium at Worlds. There was no Tobe Decrana. And Dande Murray and Bontemps were really tough to deal with.
Well, we talked a good bit about the U24 World Championships from last year tonight because so many members of this Toronto team played for Team Canada. Far and away, the best player in that tournament was Toba. I think he led the tournament in goals, assists, certainly scores. He had a tough game in the final against the USA. Learning moment for him. He was just 21 years old at the time. He's now just 22. He'll turn 23 June 29th. Can watch Toba and his brother Lander. Tanner Johnson go back with Boston as well, along with former New York 3-time champion Ben Katz. He'll be on the field for Boston tomorrow as they take on the Montreal Royale, another team that I'm really intrigued by heading into the season as Alex Davis grabs his first goal as a member of the New York Empire to make it 21-13 with 5:08 to play. Afternoon game tomorrow, Brian. 2 p.m. Montreal, Boston. Watch UFA.tv. You'll be watching with your son, right?
That's right. Little Charles Jones. 8 months old, can stand in his own. Watch out. Be playing Ultimate in no time. Have you introduced your young ones to throws yet? Taught them to flick?
We're still working on the backhand, to be honest, but I remember a few years back we were tossing in Central Park on a visit to New York and made for some good memories. Went to the Bronx Zoo today with the family. It was a really fun day. Had never been before. You been?
8th grade, pouring rain.
Really?
Watched the gorillas and then went up to warm up with the dryers in the bathroom.
Sounds like an unforgettable experience.
Well, now that we're done, doing the tourist tour for New York, Gallant.
Oh, goodness. He absolutely launches it deep. Kelsey Mullaney is there. Resets for Turner. And in the end zone, it's Dillon.
I think Marty Gallant got a little tired of running and said, I'm going to go ahead and put this no matter what. But a perfect back shoulder throw. Just turns the page. Find Mullaney. Almost like an Aaron Rodgers. Nothing the defense can do about it. Can't see it happen.
Let's check in with Dan Hilton down on the sidelines. Dan, what have been your primary impressions watching from that vantage point tonight?
Yeah, sitting on both sidelines. For the Empire, the game plan, now you mentioned, Evan, a lot of these dominator sets, and for the Empire, they said, that's okay. We're going to kind of look off the alpha move, go to beta, which is like the second option there in the dominator, and just be bigger. And I know it sounds silly, but just being more athletic and taller than Toronto has been a lot of both the offensive and defensive game plans. And for Toronto, it is a lot of, and of course, there is some, I know he's no longer on a team, but an Oscar Stonehouse, young players trying to figure a few things outness. I mean, Coulier, as you mentioned, reminds me a bit of a Oscar Stonehouse, but figuring out defensively those different permutations on if you're going to run the double team, you have to commit to the double team. And for Toronto on the sideline, especially looking ahead to Philadelphia, it's a lot of those things. We've got to get our fundamentals right. And if you're going to do it against a team, you want to do it against a team like the Empire that are so much bigger, that can beat you not only with their legs, with their throws, but also through the air. So for the Empire, yeah, they haven't really changed up too much. It's been a lot of go to that guy in the end zone, Ben Yap, but Evan, BJ, I don't need to...
Seventh goal of the night for Ben Yap. Thanks, Dan. And we should mention, look, there are big-name players often missing from every team. New York's missing arguably the best player in the world in Dante Murray. But Toronto does not have two of their big Vancouver additions, Justin Podnar and Max Petnuzzo. Also no Isaiah Masakeli, who's making a comeback this year into the UFA. So I think this is a Toronto team that, again, has high expectations, even if the external expectations aren't too tall. And I think this Toronto team could give Philadelphia trouble tomorrow. But they're not giving much trouble to Ben Yap in New York.
It's hard, too, for Philadelphia to scout this game. You're seeing a lot of different things. I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments from this Toronto squad. And I like the way what Dan was connecting to the pass here. At Toronto, you have a little bit of the connection coming back with Isaiah Masakeli. I mean, he was feared. He was such an incredible playmaker coming out when he was younger. And that for me, you know, personally, I cut my teeth against these Toronto teams, losing to them 4 times a year. And so it's a different generation. Toronto and Canada trying to figure it out. And Podnar is going to help them a lot. He's got that big game experience. You talk about a guy that can, you know, light a fire. Like Atkins and Yap, Podnar can do that for them as well.
Crossfield from Gallant. That was a nice shot. Only gained about 6 yards vertically, but it was a 50-yard crossfield throw. Angled beautifully. 2:21 to go.
Just getting in a little bit of rhythm. It's hard. It's hard to play the Empire. But you want to build some positive momentum. Finding Chafa is the right thing to do most of the time. Gallant having a pretty productive day. Yep. 200 plus in receiving and throwing, being well balanced. He's going to have to do that for Toronto to be successful. We've seen the receiving bit. Now we've seen the throwing bit later.
Gallant is the game leader in total yards. Both Yacht and Matt Labar sit at +7. Labar's got 6 assists tonight. Didn't you say he wasn't a thrower early in the broadcast?
Well, he heard me.
Cowan's going deep. Secondary pressure could not slow him down. And it's the 5th goal of the night for the pride of Grinnell College. Jacob Cowan started playing Ultimate as a freshman at Beacon High School in New York City. Led Grinnell to D3 Nationals a couple of times and has continued his craft, expanding his skill set here in the UFA.
And he looks great so far. You see the impact not only for the space that you can attack, but Cowan has the ability now to stretch a little bit more, take a lesser matchup, and also he's been improving his throws over the course of this game.
When Calvin Brown launched the shot in overtime or double overtime against DC, looking for Cowan into like quadruple coverage, did you expect Cowan to make that crazy catch that he made last year? You were in the booth.
I've seen him make incredible catches before. No, I didn't expect him to win the 1-on-4.
That was certainly the best play of his career to this point in what was a must-win game for New York. Dan Hilton called it well. He said the Empire saved their season. John Randolph adds to his stat total with another block. Everett Shapiro, former LA Aviator, beginning his second season with the Empire. Here's Nick Whitlock. Been a good getting his feet wet game for Whitlock. Nothing too spectacular. Made the one nice sky using his size.
He's been a workhorse.
Yeah.
He's been getting it done on defense. He doesn't need to take the shot for the Empire to be successful.
I feel like with Whitlock, New York might finally have somebody to guard Orion Cable.
That's a great call out. But then you have to guard Cable, and you got to guard Tobe, and you got to guard Babbitt, and then, you know, all the other Boston pieces.
Yeah, Simon Carapella played really well last weekend. Ben Sadok, Ryan Dinger in the backfield.
And here, you got to wonder, do you even need to score? Run out the clock, play keep away.
20 seconds left as Randolph gets it back. Dishes for Simmons. Shapiro in the middle. Bluffs a hammer. Gives it up. And Luke Barry flips it into the end zone for his first UFA assist. With 3 seconds to go, it's Axel Agami Contreras in the end zone to cap a victorious night one of the New York Empire 2026 season.
There are some positive takeaways for the rush, but that start, they're going to have to learn from it. The risk-taking they had early, because the Empire, I mean, they look ready, Evan. They look ready to compete. I don't think this is the last couple of years of the Empire. They got a lot of ways to make you hurt. A lot of defenders.
I'm not sure the Boston Glory will need to lean on Toba the way they did last week. But he was so involved. I mean, 13 of their 21 scores he either threw or caught. You compare that with New York. Yes, Yacht has 7 goals, yet, but it doesn't feel like New York's leaned on any one guy the same way Boston leaned on Tobe. Spiked down by Shapiro at the buzzer, and that will do it. The New York Empire are 1-0 in the new season with a 24-15 win over the Toronto Rush. These two teams will see each other again late in the season, July 12th in Toronto. Certainly there'll be different teams then than they are now, 3 some odd months from now. But New York came out tonight with a purpose, especially offensively, Brian. They finished this game with just 8 turnovers. Happens to be the exact same number Boston had in their first game last week.
Well, they're keeping pace with the reigning champs, and that's good for them. Like you said, learning experience for Toronto, and just the versatility you saw from New York tonight. They're ready. They know that whatever they show, it's going to be a year-long scout between them and Boston, trying to feign what they have. And a great, successful Week 2 victory, first game of the season. Hard to find complaints with this one.
Toronto had the 1 break in the first half, but that was it. Only 2 break chances all night. They came on the same point. So every other 0 point, including every 0 point in the second half, New York scores without a turn. The Empire get 8 breaks in 15 chances. And look, Atkins and Yacht have had some spicy moments between them in the past, chirping at each other. But they look right at home alongside one another in New York jerseys.
They're both so tall and be versatile, and Atkins is just going to get opportunities here to take these shots uncontested. He'll take them even if they're contested, but he was able to be versatile downfield, backfield, taking the shots, finding Yacht. It doesn't matter because there was no answer.
5 assists and 2 goals for Alex Atkins. He also has 470 total yards, second on the Empire behind Jacob Cowan, who had 4 more yards according to the official stats. Alex Atkins Thanks for joining us. You still got the post-game interview, despite the 4-yard difference between you and Jacob.
I'm pissed. I'm going to have to talk to him after the game.
How was your Empire debut tonight, Kins?
It was awesome. That was a great game. It was fun to be on that line and just cooking out there with the guys.
How would you characterize your relationship with Yacht in the past, and what's it like being his teammate and going from chirping adversaries to the guy that you're hucking too deep?
I would say relationship in the past was like he's that, one of those people that drives you to want to be better because he's so good. He's just such an inspiration. He's been such a good guy for so long. And then now, it's just a blast. I just get to chuck stuff up to him and he catches it. So it's pretty fun.
It seemed like the offensive game plan was to be very versatile, have you start in a lot of positions. Did it go exactly as you thought, where you're going to work the Dominator? Did you take more shots than you thought you would? How did it pan out?
Yeah, I didn't really have an idea. Like, coming into the game, first game with the team, practices have been so hard. A lot of people have been asking, like, what do you think? Like, how are you feeling? We're just such a deep and talented team that practices have been such a grind. I definitely was feeling a little nervous. Like, I didn't know how we were going to do when we got out here. And this game was great, and I'm excited to just, get after it next week.
So New York is filled a lot with a lot of known players. You've known Yacht for a long time, competed against him. Who's one player that surprised you that you didn't know about when you came to New York?
I knew about him, but Matt Labar is just so good. And I think he's in for a breakout year, and just people are going to start to realize how good that guy is. So,
do you guys even need this Belgian guy that I've heard about is joining your team sometime soon?
Who?
Danny, I think his name is.
Oh yeah, Dan Day Murray. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he fits in when he gets here.
What was your recruiting pitch to Don? I understood that was something that you did to help bring him to the Empire.
I think the pitch is easy. It's like, you want to be a professional ultimate Frisbee player, you want to put as much into this game as you can, then you should come to New York, because that's one of the places that you can try to do it. Yeah.
What will your next week be like as you get ready for the DC Breeze coming here next Sunday?
I go to the park every morning, throw with Nick Whitlock, who also, shout out to him, had a great debut. A kid from New Zealand. I know his folks are watching back home. I think they had a little watch party at the bar, so shout out to you guys if you're still watching. We'll be tossing every day, just, preparing, getting ready, making sure the body feels good, and yeah.
Ken, it's good to see you smiling. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We'll see you next Sunday for some more Friday Night Frisbee.
Yeah, I'll see you guys. Thank you.
Alex Atkins is our Delta difference maker tonight. Brian, he made an impact in a lot of ways, and he brought a really happy attitude for this Empire team.
He was ready to go. He's a big game player, and tonight he feasted.
24-15 is the final. Quick break, and then we're back to wrap it up and look ahead to next week with DC coming to town.
There's no rivalry in the UFA like DC and New York. Two teams full of stars with a shared history of last-second stunners. When the Breeze battle the Empire, it's always must-see Frisbee.
And that's what we're looking forward to next Sunday. It is a rare Mother's Day matinee edition of Friday Night Frisbee, free on the UFA YouTube and watchufa.tv. So no Friday game next week, but Sunday afternoon, D.C., New York. There are a lot of good rivalries in this league. I called Atlanta and Austin last week the weirdest rivalry. They've played so many one-goal games, including another double overtime thriller. But D.C. and New York is the best rivalry in the league. I didn't say one of the best. It is the best rivalry in the UFA, and you can explain why.
Well, I can't disagree because I've been a part of it, and it's just been incredible, the strategy, the chess game, the athletes, the moments. And it feels like every time the D.C. and New York Empire get together, you're rewriting the rule book, literally, because there's some new rule that needs to be established to treat the situation they had. We've had timeouts that were allowed, not allowed. In overtime, we've had situations where maybe the disc didn't get off in time. It's full of drama. It's great to watch. And surely we'll see something we haven't seen before.
Who's the favorite in the East Division this season, Brian?
It's still Boston. Until New York can take it away from them, it's still Boston in that matchup. They're getting the job done. They look great. New York's going to be great, too. I can't wait to watch it.
New York wins comfortably tonight over Toronto in their 2026 season opener. Hope you enjoy all the rest of the great Frisbee coming up this weekend. Obviously, Montreal, Boston tomorrow afternoon, Salt Lake, Oakland, Chicago, Minnesota, Toronto, Philly. And then on Sunday, you got D.C. hosting Montreal as well. Lots of great ultimate ahead. And, of course, D.C., New York next Sunday. Last look at the stats tonight, Brian. 8 breaks to 1 as the Empire win it 24-15. Another single-digit turnover performance from New York.
I mean, just put the big circle around the Hucks. 9 for 17 from Toronto, 9 for 11 for New York. That's the entire difference in the game. New York able to bait them into taking those shots, and Toronto was not up to the task.
And I think Jamie Millage will look at the stats and say, guys, when we got to the red zone, we didn't turn it. We were 100%, so let's be patient. Let's not launch 17 Hucks. Let's be a little bit more cautious and conservative. And look, a lot of guys playing their first UFA game tonight. The Rush certainly have something to build upon, but the Empire separated themselves from the jump. Took a 2-0 lead and never, ever trailed in their 2026 season opener here at the stadium at Memorial Field. Big games for Kins and Yacht and Cowan and LeVar. A couple blocks for Randolph as well. Thanks for being with us for Friday Night Frisbee here in Week 2. Enjoy the rest of the Ultimate this weekend. For our entire production crew, led by Charlie Eisenhood, and from broadcast partner Bryan Jones and Dan Hilton down on the sidelines, Evan Lepler saying good night from New York as the Empire trying to march to championship weekend. They are off to a good start. Have a great night, everybody.